to be respectful of everyone's time, we can go ahead and get started, and I'll just maybe get distracted a little bit here and there, letting other folks in from the waiting room. But thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, yes, we're excited to hear the latest and greatest about what's happening in the world of food trends and things to be aware of for this upcoming year. You are very insightful and always have a lot of information to share. So let's get right to the chase. I would love for you to go ahead and share your bio and a little bit of information about you, so that way the crew that's in attendance gets a chance to understand why you have the floor this evening.
Okay, so my name is Laurel Elliott. I am Director of Culinary Outside Consulting Services with Integra Procurement Services. It's a GPO, the largest of its kind in the world, and a subsidiary of Sodexo, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that name. It's the largest food service company in the world that's based in France and also owned and run by Miss Sophie Bellon, who is our fearless leader. So my background, I really have worked in food service and culinary for 18, going on 19 years now. I don't know where the time went, but here I am and still having fun with it and learning and growing, as all of us are within the industry these days, going with the ebbs and flows. My background basically encompasses everything from owning my own personal chef service back in my early 20s, my foray into catering as well, having my own catering business here in Atlanta, and then moving into the corporate world, having stints at Darden Restaurants, Longhorn Steakhouse, working with Compass Group, Bon Appetit Management Company, and now currently with Integra. And so a lot of what I do in my current role is utilizing all of those skills that I've amassed within the past few years, be it in the healthcare arena, senior living, consulting, anything along those lines, and putting it to good use with our clients who are looking for solutions with everyday issues. If it's not labor, it's sourcing, supply chain issues as well, looking at creating new menus or full concept ideation even. And a lot of my work delves into the segment of working with suppliers as well and manufacturers, helping them bring their goods to market and working on crafting very unique marketing strategies to get the world at large to be more acquainted with their products. And that runs the gamut of your typical consumer product goods onto farms, which, as you know, brings me to our one and only Comfort Farms based here in Georgia. Really proud of the project I worked on with them as well.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know and haven't heard the story of John at Comfort Farms, Laurel and her team just put together a beautiful docu-series that helps tell his story. And one of the events that we have planned for later this year is a trip down to the farm. So we'll share the link for registration and all of that. So hopefully we can jump on a bus and go get to experience what the magic that John is doing in person.
Definitely. And, when we look at the current state of the culinary landscape and food service landscape, we see an opportunity now to embrace the origins of our food. We're looking at connecting chefs with farmers is always a good message. There's always going to be a need for manufactured goods, but there's also a niche market for relationships with farmers and looking at the specialty goods that they offer. For looking at top tiered menus, you want to offer a specialty item that no one else in town is going to have, no one else has access to. Well, that direct relationship with farmers is what's going to get that onto your plates within your operations. So I strongly encourage, a lot of our chefs in the industry to reconnect with our roots and also tap into that sustainability feature, which I know is something that's near and dear to John and a lot of our other clients as well. And our parent companies, Sodexo and Integra as well. We take that very seriously, and tapping into, sustainability and things of that nature really makes us good stewards of our resources. So it's a great opportunity to do things good all around.
Well, and I love that too, from a connection standpoint, to be in the state of Georgia and to know that John and his team and his farm are here. I think more and more folks are being attentive to locally sourced ingredients, and those, especially like John, one's raised with love.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's a passion project. We also get the opportunity, like what I have coming up shortly in a few months, working on a LinkedIn Live project with companies like General Mills and their wonderful team, as well as Brookwood Farms, looking at bringing their products together in really neatly packaged approaches to innovation to assist chefs and restaurateurs, food service operators, the end users of it all, who really need some assistance, to take away the stress of sometimes it's creativity, sometimes it's labor, all of those things that are involved, really offering innovative approaches and solutions. So stay tuned for that. That will be live on April 2nd on LinkedIn. More to come on that.
Beautiful. Well, happy to circulate that as you've got the link to share so we can get it out there for everyone to enjoy.
Definitely.
Yes. So tell us what is kind of firming up the end of 2023. What does 2024 have in store with us as it relates to flavors and trends and things that we need to be aware of?
While flavors and trends, first of all, before the flavor, we must have the proteins on the table center of plate. Vegan vegetarian cuisine continues to be a theme. All right, healthy eating, drinking to health, eating those blue zones documentaries that we've seen on Netflix really helps reemphasize information that's been out there in the world at large before, and bringing us again closer to the roots and understanding to feed our minds and bodies with really fantastic food. And some of that is drinking to your health. And, the idea now we're seeing mushrooms in coffee, we're seeing mushrooms in salads. Mushroom is no longer just something that you saute. You start delving into stuff like lion's mane. You're seeing lion's mane in yogurt. You're seeing lion's mane across the board in gummies even. So looking at food is not only a way to feed your mind and body, but to create a really unique and enjoyable experience. So I would say drinking to health, looking at your food and beverage menus, pairing some of those amazing new innovative drinks, even kombucha, comparing, looking at the kombucha on your menu to a regular soda, which one's going to bring you more nutritional benefits, right? Obviously the beverage that's alive and well, so to speak, no pun intended. And then upping the nutritional content of that with either a veggie base, really amazing colors being utilized across the board now in ube. We see that across the menu, that lovely purple hue, trending now for the past two going on 3 years. No stop in sight. So apart from that, let's talk about beef. Good news, not the not so good news. Commodity prices, as we know, food, just like everything else, our commodities are traded in futures. Beef this year is not our friend right now. I don't know what the tail end of the year might hold. We might be in for a couple pleasant surprises, but currently we're needing to pivot away from beef into alternative proteins. Some things like pork, chicken, not so friendly right now too, but looking at alternative protein sources, perhaps looking at the burger, the beef consistency, looking at a really high grade beef blend and imparting a bit of mushrooms to add texture and flavor to that, more of a robust body to your burger. But whatever you can find to assist with not only imparting more flavor and making the profile of your burger even more pronounced, fluffing it with a bit more veggies and things of that nature. So it's not just straight beef and you're not eating the costs literally and preferably at the top end of things. I think that's a really good approach. Also looking at healthy grains. That trend continues, healthy grains and pulses, as they say up in northern Canada. Looking at your legumes and things like that to impart really robust proteinaceous textures into your menus without having that additional cost. So I'm not saying completely eradicate beef. You know, we must all have a great burger, but also looking at some innovation when looking at the typical everyday burger. How can we add some nutrition to that as well as take away from the full off top cost of the beef right now? Eggs are trending a little bit down. So breakfast is always a plus. We see a lot of breakfast and brunch operations are popping up all over Atlanta and just about everywhere we travel now. Brunch is no longer just midday. It's in some cases every day and always available. So taking a look at that, looking at very unique offerings besides just your typical brunch and breakfast offerings to bring menu innovation to the forefront of things and bring that up even just a tad with looking at the beverages on your brunch menus as well, alcohol free a lot. And I know a lot of people had dry January. Well, it's looking as if trending towards the middle of the year, just like our counterparts in England, they typically try to look at a drier approach to beverages well into the new year. So just taking a bit off of their pages and trying to invigorate our menus here stateside as well with some of that is a really good way to go.
I love the mocktail bloom that's going on. It did surprise me because I was out with some folks in food and beverage, and they said, "Oh, well, can I check out that spirit?" And it's a spirit-less drink, but yet the charge is still the same. It's not any less for having no alcohol in it. It's still a spirit that's distilled, has the same flavor profile, and is much better than using water in the beverage.
Yes.
So you get your bill when you're having the mocktail and you go, "Oh, I thought I would get a discount," but no, you don't.
Definitely. I see that as well. You know, when you look at menus now, it's with the distillation process utilizing herbs, there are now alcohol-free mixers that come out looking and tasting like absinthe, and things of that nature, even gin and vodka. A lot of them are out of Australia and England and North America, utilizing that platform to create really innovative beverages along those lines. And, you know, it is going to cost around the same because there's a great deal of artistry. It's not just, you know, back in the day, you would just say, okay, it's a bartender. Well, it's a mixologist, because when you look at the work and the artistry that goes on behind the scenes, crafting those really unique beverages, it's really important to be respectful of that on your menu and let that be front and center.
I just love the beauty of them, right? Because that's one of the things in a recent, I went to the FSR QSL conference here in Atlanta last fall, and they said that wine and beer are, you know, trending down because people want something that's pretty and, you know, maybe has a flower on it. It is Instagrammable. And as much as you try, unless you're pouring, you know, a fresh cup of beer, right? Like you can't really get that action and that activity and that beauty. So mocktails, even if they've got alcohol or not, just, you know, photograph so well.
Yes, they do. And you said the key word, Instagrammable. Everything needs to be Instagrammable these days. It's the food, it's the beverage, it's all about color, making it pop on screen with great photography. And what speaks better to that than herbs and natural flavorings that we see existing in nature? It's just untouched beauty. And now we have in mixology now mirroring some of those flavors, colors, textures that are so unique, never before seen. And I think that's the wave of the future. And as we speak about the wave of the future, some of the trends right now, some of my faves, West African cuisine. You know, I just got back from South Carolina. Flavor Foray is a really great meeting of the chefs, and just got to partake in some wonderful West African cuisine, which is trending very heavily. The world is a plate mixed with global flavors. Caribbean cuisine is going to be having its day later this year and into the next. And along with that goes to a bit of innovation in the rum department. So we step away from non-alcoholic a little bit to now discuss rum. Rum is seeing a resurgence. We've had some recent acquisitions stateside of some international companies that are leaders in the industry that will now speak to an opportunity for rum to be center stage here in North America. A lot of companies like 10 to 1 Rum, are up there, top tier experiences with spirits of that nature. And we have mid-tier and perhaps lower tier, but we're looking at the opportunity for rum now to be experienced by age groups that run the gamut, all the generations, Gen Z onward, up to even baby boomers, right? So everyone can join in the festivities. Rum gives you the idea of the ambiance, connecting with the ocean, the Caribbean. It's a vibe, right? And the industry is definitely tapping into that when it comes to F&B innovation. The menus look like they're connecting Caribbean cuisine, tropical cuisine with those tropical spirits and liquors. So that's something else to keep an eye out for.
Well, I can't wait to do our rum tasting. That's definitely something that we have to put on the calendar for later this year.
Definitely, definitely. And as we look into other opportunities, the restaurant space, as you know, everyone's talking smaller footprint. Smaller footprint, that conversation is everywhere. Real estate is very expensive these days, as you know. And people are having to do more with less. And that being said, we're now looking at equipment, turbo cooking, looking at more efficient operations that may not need ventless cooking, things of that nature. I know we've had those conversations back and forth throughout the months, talking about what operators are looking for. How can you do more with less of a footprint and even smaller pieces of equipment? Well, there is a lot of innovation going on right now. You're looking at Alto Sham, you're looking at Turbo Chef, Mary Chef, all of those can speak to that segment, turbo cooking or speed cooking, where you can create a whole meal in 7 minutes or less using different cooking compartments. So some of that is very exciting.
The price structure of those pieces of equipment? Because I think, yes, sounds amazing, right? Let's sous vide this, let's sous vide that. And actually, just in case someone doesn't know, can you just briefly describe sous vide?
So sous vide is essentially cooking under pressure while retaining moisture. A lot of it is, it's cryovac into a bag and basically boiled or steamed at a very conservative temperature so that, let's just say you're looking at a steak, you're able to consistently cook a steak, so a certain degree of doneness within that temperature zone, so you have a set either medium or medium rare. So all that's left to do is to retherm it in a turbo cooking environment, and you have a perfectly done steak each time, and holding at that medium temperature or medium rare. And so consistency is key. Also, you essentially do away with that risk of, oh, am I overcooking my steak? Am I past that degree of doneness? It keeps it very simple, almost fail proof, right? Fail safe. And it really offers a very unique opportunity. You don't need to focus that much on the training piece as far as becoming a steak or grill master. It keeps it very simple. Entry-level employees are able to prepare that item within a very short space of time because it's coming in the door, in the back door, sous vide or ready cooked. It's just a retherming process. And you're dealing with a very moist steak. Sometimes, if you do just your overall grilling or convection cooking, sometimes the meat tends to really dry out. With sous vide, you don't run into that issue, right? Of course, it's not going to come out the bag and have the char that you would automatically off of a char grill, but you can add finishing touches or even flame it just so that, it gives that appearance of that grill look. So that's what sous vide is. When you're looking at cost, sous vide machines aren't exactly cheap, but they are affordable. So what I always encourage operators to do is think about your menu first and then look at the equipment. Don't buy the equipment and then try to come up with a menu, right? I know that's ideal, right? But that's not always the case. But in the ideal world, that's what you'd be able to do. So when you look at the cost of these smaller footprint pieces of equipment that utilize, cutting edge technology, you're running the gamut of a piece of equipment that's going to take up the cost of two pieces of equipment, if you would think of what I'm saying. You have, in instances, the capabilities to brush with a light drizzle of olive oil and crisp up a really nice potato or vegetable in those without even having a fryer. And as we know, the cost of having a fryer, it's the fry oil, it's changing out the oil. It's also the risk as well. Safety sometimes is an issue. You eradicate, some of those safety challenges that come along with a fryer. And now you have the ability to be able to utilize this one piece of equipment to do all the tricks that you wouldn't probably use, a combi oven and a convection oven, all those things all packed into one.
So funny you mentioned that. I actually walked through a second generation restaurant space. It was a Mexican restaurant, and they had these cisterns of new grease and old grease. And all you did was push a button and it pulled the old grease out of the fryers. It put it in this like cylinder, and then you push a button and you put the new grease in. And it blew my mind, right? Because I don't operate today, but to see that process make it so seamless and easy
Yes.
and pain-free is probably the best way I would say it, because I do remember the days of changing out the grease, and it was not a pleasant process. So it was just fascinating. And the group that I had walking through the space was just immediately enamored and thinking through, okay, we got to keep the fryers. What can we use them for when we change the concept?
Well, when you look at, as I mentioned, technology, right? That's also a company that we have in our repertoire, our arsenal, being Integra, all the things that we work with them to be able to provide those solutions to operators. I believe the saying is from the rooftop to the parking lot when you speak to Integra's capabilities to be able to partner with operators to assist them with finding solutions, challenges such as frequent, fryer oil change, looking at the cost of your fryers, safety issues as well. When everything is contained in that manner, it makes it, again, fail safe, as well as a more efficient process that helps with overall business operations as well. And it's less stress on your employees as well, right? I believe you have a happy team, your customers are going to be happy as well. And it starts with hospitality at home, as we all say, in the kitchen.
Absolutely. So equipment, Caribbean, what else are we missing?
So when I look at what's going on right now in the industry as well, we're seeing a pivot from restaurant owners now shifting into consumer packaged goods. There is a tremendous market that I think arose out of the pandemic, right? When a lot of people were seeing, okay, well, we can't necessarily dine out at restaurants, but we want to be able to prepare those same meals at home, not necessarily utilizing a meal kit. We still want to have that degree of creativity. But I also wanted to taste like my neighborhood, Thai restaurant or Caribbean restaurant or Italian restaurant. Consumer packaged goods is where the fun begins for a lot of restaurant owners, because now they're working with companies and co-packers to be able to create white label products that mimic those items that are already in their restaurants, and maybe create a separate stream of income. So you're seeing a lot of chefs and restaurants coming out with that. It's something that existed pre-pandemic, but post-pandemic, we've seen a great uprising in the total number of chefs that are stepping into that stream of income. That also is something else that we at Integra can assist with to be able to help bring that idea to market. We work with you and your team to be able to fine-tune recipes, looking at stabilizing recipes, finding a co-packer for you, and working on your marketing strategy as well, bringing that full packaged item to the shelf. And I always strongly encourage, if you're looking at consumer packaged goods, look at food service. Food service is where the profitability lies, because if you think of it in that concept, you sell one bottle, let's just say it's 16-ounce bottle or 8-ounce bottle of your sauce. versus you sell a gallon of it in food service, which one is going to be more profitable? And it's a no-brainer. So I strongly urge chefs and people who are looking at delving into that avenue, that stream of income, to think about the packaging structure that you're looking at as well. That's something we can help with. Like I say before, it's oftentimes, I know I've had the experience of myself, coming up with my own spice line. And there are a couple of things that I wish I knew 5, 6 years ago. The game has changed a little bit, but fortunately, with a company like Integra, we have access to so many tools that you typically wouldn't have if you were to do it on your own as a layperson. So it's you having your own team to assist you with your product and innovation, bringing it to light.
So Laurel, just to make sure that everybody understands, the 16-ounce bottle is like consumer product goods, goes out to perhaps being sold in the grocery store or online, whereas food service, you would take that bottle and it goes to where?
So if you order off the back of a Cisco truck, and when you order that, you get a case pack size for 1 gallon of an item. That's when I say food service packaging. That's what that looks like, because that's the usage rate, right? Food service isn't going to be utilizing a 16-ounce bottle. That will be gone in 5 minutes. So when you're looking at producing for food service, you want to look at building up in terms of the quantities that you're producing and the size of the containers that they're being sold in, because you're looking at bulk sales. That also increases profitability in and of itself.
So I'm thinking of, a Heinz ketchup bottle at the grocery store, and all the 500 flavors they have, but going to, Restaurant Depot, Cisco, et cetera, and buying in bulk so that you can go back and refill all those bottles.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Exactly. And you move more product that way. So I think it's a great opportunity. We are in very innovative times right now, very interesting times. We're seeing international culture, flavor, if it's a Thai, Asian, a lot of Asian mashups. Chili crisp aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's a wonderful time for international cuisine. It's a wonderful time for ancestral cuisines, going back to old world Italian recipes, old world Jewish recipes, things that are cultural mashups. That really warms my heart, because now you're seeing that in a fine dining arena. It's refreshing to see, right? It's taking a step back to take a step forward and add a modern twist to it.
I love that. Well, coming from my family, I was with a new friend recently and I said, what's your favorite dish to make? And she's an Indian woman. She goes, I love making matzo ball soup. And I said, I love making matzo ball soup. We're going to have a matzo ball soup like mashup just to like taste test and have fun. So one of the other the things that is on our agenda this year is a Friendsgiving, where 20 folks are going to bring a dish and tell the story of what it means to them. And then the rest of the party gets to enjoy it. So I think that'll be good to have that experience with everyone.
That's fantastic. So what are you seeing on the restaurant landscape in Atlanta right now? What are some of the trends that you see?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of upcoming restaurant vacancies. Good portion of these are, 1,500, 2,500 square feet, which again is a great size for someone that wants to stay small. But then there's a handful of folks that I think are just tired and are hitting their 10-year mark or 20-year mark, and they're saying, hey, I'm good. I've run this restaurant for 10 or 20 years. I'm ready to go in a different direction. And as sad as that is for the community to see them go, I think that, there's always hope for something new to come in. I tell my kids that the only thing that you can always count on is that things will change. And hopefully it changes in the direction that maybe you can help foster, change for the better. Maybe it changed for, reasons outside your control. But that is just one thing that you just have to get used to, because it is inevitable. Things will change. And so, that's why I say it's nice to go with the flow, right? Shouldn't bother you. It's nothing personal. Just, it's good to see people evolve.
It is. I think it's necessary. I think as far as food halls and food courts go, I think that's the direction we're moving in a lot of the times when you look geographically. the food hall, food court culture is spreading. And I think it's really important for us to look at the cuisines that are present there and how they play a role in the development of the restaurant landscape on the city as a whole, because you'll notice it might start in the food hall and then it expands to larger brick and mortar locations. So I think it's always intriguing to me. This year, McCormick's declared the flavor of the year to be tamarind. Well, anybody around town in Atlanta, you can, a stone's throw away from wherever you are, you can touch a restaurant that's utilizing tamarind in some way, shape, or form, if it's on the beverage menu or the menu itself. And it transcends ethnicities, it transcends, any type of concept through and through, because they're in the form of dessert, in the form of a beverage or an entree. And those flavors as well play very well with Thai and Vietnamese cuisine as well, and Caribbean too. So that being said, I would urge a lot of restaurant goers to pay attention to some of the new flavors that are out there, and restaurant owners to perhaps tap into a little bit more to the trends that are going on, because now it's innovation. Innovation speaks loudly, and it speaks more frequently than a lot of some of the older habits we've had, where we go to a restaurant and have the same thing every time. Now it's what's new, what's cutting edge. So embrace those flavors, lean into it, and add your innovative touch. And I think that's what's going to continue to bring our restaurant culture to life.
I think it was beautiful to see that Atlanta scored Michelin this year, and I think I feel like the time that we knew Michelin was coming, like 2 months later, they had picked their stars. So I think that with them here in Atlanta, it puts Atlanta a bit more on the map and is able to showcase more of the beauty and the dishes that we have to share. So I'm excited. Kind of anticipated the folks that won this year, but I'm very curious what next year holds.
Yes, I am too. I am too, because now you're seeing restaurateurs stepping into creative space, perhaps, two pre-existing concepts focused on certain flavor profiles. Now they're delving into other things as well. And, the word that we keep hearing through and through is experiential. You want, and also in reference to that third space, right? Not home, not work, but in between. So a lot of those segments that we see popping up, if it's axe throwing with food, top golf, things of that nature that create a very unique atmosphere to bring your friends, your family, hang out and have a great meal, and some drinks as well, right? With a great beverage menu. That's what it's all about. And I think as our cities evolve, it's gonna demand a little bit more of that too.
For sure. Well, Laurel, you think you're ready for a couple of questions that our audience might have for you?
Yes, definitely.
Beautiful. So let's see, we can open this up for conversation. I guess if someone wants to hit maybe like their hand raise or come off of mute and ask Laurel anything that they might have on their mind. Going once? No, just kidding. Stephanie, did you get a chance to listen in? Because I know Laurel was chatting briefly, but I think it was right around the time that you were joining. Stephanie owns a juice smoothie shop in Woodstock, and she's going to be opening soon on the Beltline. So we're very excited for her. So I think, she is very much in that space and understanding people are making healthier choices.
Yes, drinking to health. That's fantastic. Drink healthy juices. We've seen a lot of juice cleanses as well. But then more so juice being a staple in the diet. You see more of that popping up, and it's good to see, coming from a background where we go into the yard and pick our fruits for a fresh juice. It's invigorating.
All right, Catheldra, you've got some questions for us. If you would mind taking yourself off mute and asking away.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, so I wanted to ask Laurel if she could share I know she gave her background in the beginning, but sharing what are some of the things that she took away from those previous experiences that she wouldn't have known at the time, but prepared her for the job she's in now.
Oh, experiences. Oh, wow. Let's reach deep back. I would think every single job I've had has been challenging. And by choice, right? I think in the industry, if you're not being challenged, you're not learning. And I think rising to the occasion is important, but also finding that sense of camaraderie. And it doesn't have to be 5 people on your team. It could be 1 or 2. I know I'm talking to one right now. Having worked on a special project with you as well here in Atlanta, it's about setting the tone for the culture in your operation. And when you look at each person on your team, each of them brings a type of intrinsic value that if you don't take the time to have those conversations, you won't automatically know, right? We're not mind readers. So I think taking the time to learn from your team, because that's the way you grow together. As you have the opportunity to develop menus or even set the tone for the culture in your operation, that sense of camaraderie and getting that feedback from your team is very important. Again, I don't mean to stick with the island theme, but no man is an island, right? It's important to bring people on board with you so that you can grow together. I think the industry as a whole, we need to see more of that. Historically, there's been the executive chef and the sous chef, and nothing wrong with the chef's brigade, but I think it's more building camaraderie, so we empower our team members so they can bring their best selves to work.
Awesome. Thank you, and it's great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. And Mike, what do you got for us? Mike, if you would take yourself off mute and ask whatever question you've got.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I had 2 quick questions. I was wondering if you've seen any innovative solutions to the ongoing labor shortage for restaurant workers.
Yes, so there are a lot of innovations along the lines of solving some of the issues with labor. One of them, I know a lot of companies have depended quite heavily, East Coast, West Coast, on gig workers or through temp labor, looking at those temporary solutions, and then having some of those short-term temp workers or gig workers then step into the role of a full-time employee after about a 6 to 8 week, I would say, trial period. That as well as has always been a type of on-the-job training as well. That's something I've seen during the pandemic and even now, so moving into the future. Also, I think some of the challenges that we face with labor is related to training, some of the training challenges, because a lot of the restaurants that we know don't they're not large enough to have a director of training or things of that nature. So I think utilizing the LMS systems that are available out there, companies like myself, Integra, as well as other consultants with the industry, designing training manuals and training applications that are sometimes web-based so that employees can look at it on their iPhones on the way into work, just a really short 5-minute video about how to utilize a chef's knife properly, the importance of wearing gloves, the importance of hand washing. Training is a very important component for a lot of our industry team members. And oftentimes it's, baptism by fire, and that doesn't really bode well for employee retention. So whatever we can do to alleviate that, if it's listening more and crafting very unique solutions to LMS strategies, as well as maybe enlisting the help of temp agencies along those lines, that's really important too.
Okay. And then my second question was, post-pandemic, what do you see the role of takeout and Uber Eats in restaurants moving forward now that the pandemic's more in the rear view?
So I know the pandemic is in the rear view, but I think Uber Eats and applications like those, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. The need is there. It's not going to dissipate. I think planes are the new cars for a lot of people. I know I myself, as we have meetings with clients, we travel a lot. And, when you're having meetings going late into the night and you're at your hotel, it's really easy to just grab, order Uber Eats on your way back to your hotel and the food is there. And so that being said, I think looking at partnerships, a lot of companies are now looking at long-term strategies to minimize the cost, because we know the overhead cost for companies like Uber Eats and DoorDash can be very prohibitive, very, very cost prohibitive. And so formulating relationships with those companies so that you can minimize those costs just a bit more for a long-term strategy. I think that's where the direction of the industry, that's the direction the industry is going, because it's way too costly. And when you look at some of the companies that have tried to bring delivery services on board as a part of under their own umbrella, the liability is just simply too much, right? So you have to pay for the cost of insurance. Let's just say the employee, as you're going out to deliver food, gets into an accident, they're on the job, they get injured, that's a liability as well. And I think, unfortunately, the state of the restaurant industry right now, we need to take our profits wherever we can, even if that lies with delivery through a delivery application like Uber Eats, because I think not only does it help with getting your brand out there a bit more, think of it as a bit of marketing. I've been in places like Cincinnati, different parts of Ohio, New York, New Jersey, and had Uber Eats from restaurants I haven't heard of before, and then gone out and eaten at the restaurant once I returned. So I think they're not going anywhere anytime soon. My only hope is that that the overall cost of those services become somewhat reduced in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
Anyone else have any questions for Laurel or myself? Beautiful. Laurel, how can people get in touch with you?
You can definitely get in touch with me by going on to integraps.com. It's our website. You can go on and enlist our assistance or help, or get in contact with me there. I will also drop my email in the chat in the event that you have any further questions that pique in your mind beyond the length of this conversation. But as a chef, 18 plus years, going to be 19 years in the industry, like I said, our industry is one that we need help wherever we can. GPOs, I wish I had a greater understanding of it earlier on in my career. I discovered it later on in my career through some of my other leadership roles I've had. And I can say that it's been a godsend to a lot of operators, just because of the structure of the purchasing program and the VDA that you get back, which, if we have the opportunity, I will delve into that a little bit more in another segment. GPOs are some of the tools that help to keep restaurants afloat during the pandemic and beyond. Historically, a lot of larger companies like hotels and things of that nature were the ones who had access to GPOs. Now it's changing. It started within healthcare, and it's migrating outwards. My hope is to bring some of the capabilities of a GPO to cities like Atlanta and beyond, where we have smaller businesses that need assistance with some of their purchasing strategies as they grow, right? As they grow and get to a certain size where they need help with additional solutions. Like I said, from the rooftop to the parking lot. If you're looking for an HVAC system or looking to get your parking lot painted, we're here for you. And so, just think of Integra in terms of us being that quiet little friend in the corner who's here to support you in whatever way that you need help within the operations. We are an operations solutions and operations optimization company. And whatever that means to you, we're there for you.
So Laurel, what I think I'm going to do is send out to the folks that couldn't join us this evening, obviously recording, but I'll tag in there email information along with a link to the amazing video that you did for John at Comfort Farm. So I think that'd be beautiful for everybody to see, you know, the fruits of your labor.
Definitely. That's fantastic. That would be lovely. And feel free to reach out. I would love to review one-on-one of what my company does and our capabilities for you, and however we may be of assistance to partner with those that need us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just going to wrap up again, just double check. Anybody else have any questions? If not, well, I just wanted to leave everybody with our upcoming Women in Restaurants networking dinner. That's on March 8th. And going back to our love and you know, excitement for international cuisine, the Consulate is a restaurant here in Midtown Atlanta that on the left side of the menu is the visa. It's whatever country we're visiting for that 90 days. And upcoming launch on March 8th is the menu for Paraguay. And then on the right side of the menu are dishes that stay from previous countries they visited. They're celebrating their 8th year. So imagine every quarter they showcase a new menu. And part of the joy of attending on March 8th is it is a spin party night. So they hand out raffle tickets. And if your ticket is called, you might win a free bottle of wine, a free dessert, a cocktail. But the pièce de résistance is the ticket to spin the globe. If you land in the water, the US or a country they've been to before, you spin again. So it is quite going back also to the entertainment while dining. Laurel, you've been with me there before, so you understand.
Yes.
It is quite a fun evening. So I will make sure to circulate to everyone the link for Women in Restaurants dinner on March 8th. We'd love to have you there if you can join us.
Fantastic experience, I have to say. The Consulate, well thought out concept, very unique. I have not ever had a dining experience quite like that. Innovative chef, innovative team, through and through. Wonderful experience. The food as well. So thank you so much for introducing me to that.
Of course. Well, it's funny. The chef herself is Buddhist and vegetarian. And so it's fantastic that she can, you know, create the dishes that include meat and fish and all of this, but yet she's not tasting it. She's leveraging her husband to taste it, and he's phenomenal as well. But it's, I think it's quite magical, you know, for her to understand the flavor profiles, but, you know, she's a vegetarian. So we invite you to come enjoy the magic with us.
Yes, I will be there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Laurel. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Again, we'll circulate the video so in case there's any notes that you want, and then also we'll follow up with contact information for Laurel as well. Thank you so much, Laurel, for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me, Edie. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Take care.
Good night.
Yes, thank you. Good night.